I now call the work session of the Board of Commissioners to order. The first thing I would like to do is to let you know that on Tuesday night I will amend the agenda because I left off the item that is where you're going to appoint your recommendations for the Ag Advisory Committee. So that will then be 10.6. But we'll go ahead and start now with 10.1, which is the 5th floor courthouse, and we have Theron Gay here to speak on that. And I know especially Steve and Clint and Montreal are very excited we've gotten to this point.
Mm-hmm. Good afternoon. Good to see everyone. Hope y'all are doing well. Yes, we're here this afternoon to talk to you about a request for bid that we want to send out to be able to do the build out of the 5th floor of the Carroll County Courthouse and some modifications to existing space. And in addition to that, we've got IT and security and AV that we're going to actually put together as they're sort of one package, but there'll be 3 different bids on that. And so we have met with Judge Simpson, met with Jericho, met with Stacy, Alicia. Jacob's been very, very helpful. Others, and I appreciate all the input they've had. What we've done is we've developed a proposal here. And it will be the outline of what we will do with this project. It'll also be the same outline for the AV and the IT and other security. The difference will change is the scope of work that we'll be calling for in this. Now, Jericho is nearing completion of the final plans and the specifications, and they will go into this document as well. As I said earlier, we met with Judge Simpson, and we've gone over this with him and his assistant. And what we did was we developed, they had developed really, and we refined a priority list of what we want to accomplish with this. The first 10 items really are all related and necessary to be able to do the finish on the 5th floor. So we kind of lumped those together, although they're priority 1 through 10, they're actually going to be, we're asking for 1 bid price on that. The remaining 19 of the priorities, we've asked for an individual bid on each of those. What that will allow us to do, since we have a budget, we have a budget estimate, but we never know till we get the budget or get the bids in, but we'll be able to go down and choose the priorities as far down as we can with the dollars that we have to spend. And of course, if there's still something that you guys feel like we need to do or want to do is outside that budget, we'll have those in priority. We'll bring them back to you and say, hey, do you want to, to consider this? I went over this with the architect because my concern was where do we draw this line? And so I felt like it was best we put everything in there, and then we'll see. We'll see how far our dollars go, and then we'll see where we need to go from there. So we've got the top 10, as I mentioned already. We're going to have an RFP or bid packet actually for the build out of the 5th floor. We'll also have one for the AV and IT, and we'll have one for security. The specifications on that are going to make those compatible with your existing systems, so everything will be able to communicate together. And Jacob's been a wonderful help to help with that. Security is not my strong point, so he's been very, very helpful on that, and I appreciate all he's done. And our timetable on this, what we're looking at, you guys have I think it's a November the 30th work session. And our plans and goals would be to have these bids back to you for consideration and review on November the 30th. And right now, I've left blank when we issue it, when we will have our pre-bid. We'll have a mandatory pre-bid at the courthouse. We feel like that's, I don't feel like somebody can just bid on something with plans. I think they need to go and see the building. So I've talked to Judge Simpson on that. We're going to set that up as soon as we have all our plans in. We're going to have the proposal dates due. And again, we'll review those. We'll bring back recommendations to you guys at that point in time. And in this bid package, quite a bit different than the ones we've done in the past, because a lot of them have been for services. This will include a bid bond to assure that they follow through with their bid. It will include a performance bond to make sure they perform the work that we've contracted to. It will also include a material bond to be sure that all the materials and everything that come in have been covered. So this will, be sure that Carroll County is covered. This is pretty standard. I know Stacy and I've talked about it a lot. I put some language in. We're going to have a 5% retainer. So when the project comes in and they say, okay, well, this is our billing for this month, we're going to retain 5% of that until it's complete. That's pretty standard. I also put in qualifications for this project will be based not only on just pure cost, but it'll also be based on history, experience. I'm a big proponent of who's going to be here to manage it. I think that's a world of difference when you get into contracting. If you've got somebody who really isn't very experienced, it's oftentimes not nearly as easy if you've got somebody who's been there and done it before. And of course, also the time to completion. Left that open, but that could be a consideration when we start looking at it as well. Somebody's 2 years out and somebody else is a year, then that's going to lend support in their direction. So again, our plan is to ask you tonight to consider this when you vote next week, to allow us to go ahead and issue this proposal, and we'll send it out to all the known contractors here. We'll put it on the state procurement site per Georgia law, and we will establish the time of release. We'll establish the mandatory pre-bid and the proposal due date. And we'll leave us enough time on proposal due date to be able to come back in and have these reviewed and ready for you guys in presentation on the 30th. So, Jacob, anything you want to add, buddy? You've been very, very helpful with everything.
The only thing is, as we throw out these RFPs, we're grasping that they utilize the same systems throughout the Judicial Center, because in the past we've had different systems per floor, and that doesn't help us maintain the system. So we'll be utilizing the same systems, for the security cameras and asset control. They'll utilize that so that once we do go to the 5th floor and do that project as well, we'll be able to utilize the same system there as well to do good things there. So
I've got some oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
It's my understanding that you've got 19 line items that you're going to put out for bid.
There are 19 priorities. What we've got right now is some of these are going to come off. I've talked to the judge. Some of them are going to be done. Some of them is going to be in Jacob.
What I'm asking, you're going to do a line item bid on those items.
On those items.
And who's going to manage them?
Who's going to manage those? That will be up to...
because a contractor is not going to take 19 categories and oversee it with you presenting the bids. You're not putting a complete package out.
It will be a complete package.
How will it be a complete package for a contractor?
Well, what we will do with that is we've asked it as phases. And so I've asked them, when you're doing this, exclusive of the IT and the security,
I understand that.
what this will be is it will be a priority list. We want you to bid on this. The first 10 will have a lump sum. That same contractor will bid on basically what's all alternate bids. And he'll bid on each of these, and then we'll add them back in.
Never heard of a package that way. Never in my life have I ever heard of a bid.
I've done that before with alternates. This is a little bit more.
Oh, with alternates, yes.
Alternates.
You do a bid package with a complete turnkey price.
Right.
And then you list item 1, alternate, item 2.
Right.
Not to give the alternates up front like that. I mean, not include them. I never saw that.
Yeah, and this will be a lot like the alternates. The alternate will
it's
be,
not like the alternates if you're asking them not to bid on it.
No, I'm asking them to bid on it.
As a package.
As a package. Bid on it as a package.
And then break them out as an alternate.
And then break them out. And the reason for that is I don't know where we're going to land in terms of your budget. So if I'm just going to throw out figures, we got $5 million, and we end up with a bid for $8 million. If I put everything together, unless I could break out those, I don't know where that other $3 million comes from.
Well, there's only a few items you can break out. You can't break out sheetrock off a stud.
No, that's
Break out
not,
electrical out of walls.
that's right, that's not
No, I
the
think
way.
if they had the list, they would see, like, give them, like, what's, like, they want a covered walkway, is that still on the list, a covered walkway between the
Yes.
historic and the
The-
courthouse, something like that, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
like-
gonna be separate projects, it's not gonna be, well, we don't wanna finish this wall out, whatever. There's a project to look at the first floor juvenile build out, okay? So if we get to a point we don't have enough dollars, that may come off. We have
That'd be a lump sum. That'd be a lump sum bid.
it'd be, yes, sir, it'd be a lump sum. And then we got another thing which they call a public defender touchdown. That would be something that is a priority, outside of the 10. We would ask them, please bid this. All of that will be in the specifications that we
I'd
have.
love to see that package
Yeah.
when you're through with it.
I will.
I never saw
I
one
think
like
it's,
it. I saw a bid, a lump sum bid, and then a deductive alternate or an
Right.
added alternate.
Well, these will actually be additive alternates is what they'll be. They'll be added alternates, and what you'll have the opportunity to do is to add to those. And I did discuss that with the architect, and she said that would be a good way to do that. So it will be workable. We're asking everybody to bid on everything. And then what we'll do is we'll have a breakdown, because in that first 10, which we've really got to do, if you decide, well, I don't want to do number 8, I don't really have a feel for how much number 8 cost. This way, I'll have a feel for what everything costs over and above those 10, top 10
I
priorities.
think when they got into it, when Montreal, Clint, and Steve started meeting with, with Jacob and the judges, we opened the package up a little bit bigger. It was almost like we need the 5th floor done. That is our priority, is the 5th floor. And then the trickle-down effect, and so I think that's what he's saying. And we wouldn't have 5 or 6 different construction companies doing all this. It'd be,
It'd all
whoever
be
we
one.
hire would do 1 through 10, and then any add-ons that we can afford and that we choose as a board. Does that make better sense?
Alternate edge.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be like another construction company doing this one,
No.
another one doing that one.
No.
Does that make better sense?
Yeah.
You think that
And-
works?
And I'm sorry, I just, I actually came in on the tail end of the development of this, and what I was trying to do is come up with a way where we could measure what that was gonna cost, and if we wanted to do it, and if there was enough money to do it. But it would be, all of it would be the same contractor. He would bid, here's lump sum for 1 through 10, here's number 11, 12, 13, 14, and then what we would do is we'd say, okay, we know we got 10, and I'll go back to my 5 million.
We
All right.
issue a contract for 10 and then
That-
do a change order for any
And
add.
you could change, you actually could accept the alternate too.
All of them or.
Or, no,
Go
yes,
through.
right, individuals, yes.
So one question that I've got on the alternate ads that Commissioner Lee is discussing, do you think that I've seen on some of these committees, I've seen where if you've only got 2 or 3 alternate ads, some companies will bid back and just include, if they're not massive projects, for instance, the library in Villa Rica. We had a company that just said, we'll put the drive-through window in and won't even charge you, right? And then you had others that line itemed it out and they were adding thousands of dollars.
Right.
So I guess, is there any fear that if we add so many alternates, they're almost going to look at this like additional projects, if you will, and try to add? I'm wondering if we're going to get as competitive a bid by having so many alternates. And that may not be something you can answer in the moment, but that's what's going through my head.
A lot of them are gonna look at it and say, well, they're gonna pick this job apart. I don't want no part of it.
Yeah.
Not gonna.
Which is gonna
That's what
affect the
a lot of
price.
them gonna do, yeah.
Right.
It will affect.
Within the document, I've explained the reason for that. So I've noted that it is our intention to do all of this, however, the budget constraints may prevent that. And so what I will also add, if I don't have the language already, that they must complete all of these alternates to make it a competitive bid. And failure to do that will result in a rejection of the bid. So they can't come in and bid the first 10 and leave the others out. If it is, they're
I can assure you they're gonna be higher that way.
yeah. And I mean, it's, we can do it another way. I mean, I don't really mind. It was just a way to try to be able to have us pick and choose how much money we've got, what those projects are. Because I know projects right now are all over the place, and we may say, well, we think it's gonna be this, but I'd hate to bid all of them and say, well, here we are, we don't have enough money. And if they don't have it broken out, they're gonna say, well, that was only $25 to do that one, and all this other is what we were looking for. So I'm just trying to get a realistic, look at those extra things that are there.
So another question that I have as far as the phasing, so obviously they're going to have to construct during court hours, but one of the good things, it'll be on its own separate floor.
Right.
So another thing that's going through my mind is they're going to have certain things that they're going to have to do from insurance standards to be able to operate during that time frame. So I'm also trying to think about how those alternates are going to play in. Here again, I'm not taking a position about what, I'm just talking out loud from things that I've seen in the past. So in other words, there's a cost of doing business just to show up for them to have to do something during working hours, correct?
Right.
The good part is they're going to be on the floor when no one's there. The bad part is they're going to have to transport stuff either before or after hours or during hours, and they're going to have to go through security checkpoints, so they're going to have a value in there for that.
Right.
So I'm just trying to sit here and think, as Commissioner Lee's pointing out, that maybe that makes them be competitive on their alternates, but another way to look at it is to sit and say, well, how am I going to factor in a minimum, whether I do one alternate or I do all 10? I've got to set up all these checkpoints, if you will, right, of additional things that the company's going to have to do. So I'm thinking about how that's going to play out. And I'm not asking, I'm just talking out loud. I'm not asking you to give it a definitive answer.
Yeah.
One of the other questions I have on the IT side, so I like the part you talk about trying to make everything sync together. So I'm assuming that the judges, one of the things is they have applied for grants and technology grants and so forth. I'm assuming you've been speaking with them. If there's any kind of special equipment or things that they obviously want, that's going to be something that we're syncing in. And then to piggyback off of that, the Sheriff's Department, I'm assuming, would be in charge of reviewing the camera systems with their employees, and I want to make sure that you've consulted with the Sheriff's Department, and I'm sure that you have, to make sure that they're comfortable with whatever technology piece is going to be on the camera side.
Yeah, just to explain a little further, on the AV equipment side, so what they've already proposed for it on their grant, this same said system, we'll put it in the RFP process so that it will go along with this system so that we, again, don't get that separate system. And same thing on the security camera and control side. We're trying to set a standard here for Carroll County, and we're going to use this RFP to help set that standard so that, again, we don't get these hodgepodge systems that fail all the time, and we keep that same standard throughout the whole judicial center.
Okay, thank you. And then as far as the review process, is this going to be done administratively through yourself, Mr. Gay, as far as going through everything, or is there going to be a review committee? And then past that, if we have 15 bids, is the board going to see all 15, or administratively or committee-wise, is it going to be narrowed down to 3 based on different parameters? I'm trying to get an idea of how the information will come back to the board.
And we haven't really got to a point of talking about how to review them. I did note in here the criteria that we would use, but that'd really be up to you guys if you want to see all 15 or 20 or however, or if you just want to have a committee to narrow it down to, just a few. We could do it either way you guys want to do that and make it work. Now, back just for a moment of clarification on these priorities I mentioned. While there's 19 on this page, several of those are coming off, and a couple of them are just painting upgrades, which we may even do in-house. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have 10, and I'm going to have some more, alternatives, but they're not going to be 9 of them, okay? Because a lot of those are going to come off. So you may have 4 or 5. So that number is actually going to be less, but I just want to clarify that. But we can do it either way you guys want to do that. I didn't put in here any anything about how we would review the bids, just some of the criteria. And of course, this is still a draft. If there are other things we want to include, we still have time to do that.
Okay, thank you.
So if only 4 bids come back,
yes, sir,
we would have the option of us as a board reviewing all 4.
Right.
At what time would that decision be made, when we get the bids back, or do we have to make that decision before that time?
I don't have the ending date on this yet, but I think you could make the decision at once we receive the bids. We can let you know, here's how many we got, and I think you could make the decision at that time. I just want to leave us enough time to get it back, and you guys be satisfied with it on the 30th of November. But if we can
And
go
I
ahead
think,
and get this out.
I think there's a balance to be played here, to Commissioner Lee's point. The commercial side of things is still very vibrant
Right.
on the commercial end.
Right.
And so they're able to, I think, still pick and choose what they want to do. And I'm not saying that what you've done is wrong. Here again, this is the first that we're hearing this information, so I'm just talking out loud. That's why this is a work session. So I don't want to get into something that, as it's been brought up, well, oh my goodness, this is so all over the place, I'm not even going to bid it.
Right.
So anyways, here again, I'm not saying it's wrong. I think it's smart in some ways to break apart things. If we can't do everything, well, here's where what we can do and what we can't. But the flip side of that is also it can be so discombobulated that they either throw a really high number at it, knowing it's going to be a lot of moving parts, or they say, I'm just going to move on down the road because I've got something out here that's not going to have 20 items for me to have to break apart. So I'm not saying right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just something to think about.
Well, I mean, I'm open to any ideas you guys have on it. There was the only thing I could come up with, and I did talk to the architect about it. I could go back and talk to them again and say, how can we accomplish this? What I did want to have is you guys to get a bid, a lump sum bid, and it be for 7.5, $750,000. And then you say, well, we don't have that much money. We only have X. And then how do we pare down X if you don't have it broken out into some component? And this is not like just asking them to do this. I mean, these are specified out, and there's a set of plans and specifications for each of these priorities. So it's not like they'll have to go and extract it from all this stuff. They'll have data to be able to determine what this project is. And they can put it together. I mean, if I were them, what I'd do is I'd put it all together as one, and I'd back out these items and just list them here, if you could do this. And it gives us an opportunity just to pick and choose. To me, it's easier that way than trying to go back and, subtract it afterwards because you don't have the breakout. But we could do it that way. We could ask them, okay, we only got this, value engineer it back, or take the stuff out and remove it until you get back to this number. You could do that too. That would be another option. But they'll be bidding in that section on, the entire project, all 18, 19, 50, whatever end up priorities. So we do it either way that you guys want it. Again, it's still in a format which we can change it, add to it, delete, and we're still waiting on the set list of plans that we have. But I think that they actually have, and I have a copy of it here. They have a plan sheet that shows the priority 9, priority 10, all these things. So I don't think it's going to be that difficult, but I'd be happy to actually call some contractors. Just say, hey, look, if you got this, would this bother you? We use it quite often in paving projects and all, and we have used it on a few buildings. But we can do it either way you guys want to do it. I just think that's easier that way than trying to subtract it after the fact if you don't have the breakout of the numbers. So, and again, it needs to be it's either a completed bid or it's not a valid bid. So they can't pick and choose, I'll do this, I'll do that. They got to do it all or none.
One more question I've got for Mr. Parsons on IT is, so the current system, we'd kind of heard through the years like, hey, we're kind of teeter-totting it being maxed out, if you will, so adding an entire additional floor, as far as, I'm calling it a motherboard, I'm IT challenged, but the server or whatever the main system that would still have to run everything, we're still within range that we can take an entire another floor with the current
Correct.
system.
And the good thing is what we've done over the years is made the structure to handle that added addition. So whether it be switches to run the users or what have you, we've already added that in place so that when this came available, we're ready to go.
Thank you.
Theron, I have a sort of a question, comment. I sat in on one of your sessions down there just for part of it, and I really appreciate what you all are doing. And I don't really want to put you on the spot, but I am.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, this process that we're talking about here, have you ever used this before in a similar situation?
With the alternates?
Yes.
Not on this particular job, but I've used it on paving, I've used it on some smaller projects. I've used it that way. And, I mean, I could talk back with the architect and see if there's a better way. When I mentioned it to her about breaking it out, she said, I think that's a good idea.
Well, and the reason, I saw some of the things that were on there, and
Right.
I was scratching my head going, I'm not sure we really need this.
Right, absolutely.
You know, and I think I pointed out one or two of them
Yes.
to you.
Well, the paint upgrade.
And we are limited, we're dealing with a limited budget here.
That's right,
So,
that's right.
and I know that the costs have gone up.
Yeah.
Was it 3 or 4 years ago that we started looking at this?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know I don't know how to compare what it was then to what it is now, but I know the cost has really gone up.
Yeah, I mean, we could go and do, the first 10 is the priority. We could bid those, and you could add them as change orders, but the problem with that is you're sort of at their mercy at that point. I kind of like to see what their numbers are up front.
Well, I'm willing to try this, as long as it's not gonna cost us a whole lot of extra money.
Yeah, I don't think it would I mean, I think you have the breakdown. I don't think it's gonna cost you any more. And I understand the market is active, and I'm glad of that. Maybe we'll get some good pricing. But, if there's a better way to do it, I'll certainly search for it. But, I'm just trying to get it where you guys will have all the figures you need to choose what you can do. And I know you've got X dollars, and you want to do everything you can for X dollars. And I thought this gave you guys some options on that. Gives you, well, we like this, we like that. We don't need these down here. And if there's some that we just agree that, hey, we just aren't going to do, I just leave them out. You know, I just leave them out up front, like the paint upgrades. If we can do that in-house, I just want to put those in the bid package.
Okay.
And in that way, we can reduce that number down.
So have you gotten, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I was I mean, and technology is something that changes so rapidly.
Right.
And I know a lot of the technology in that building is a few years old. So now are we certain we're going to be able to match up the old technology with what we're going to bring in without having to redo the entire?
Yes, sir. And most of the cabling and all that was done a very good job of previously. And again, ever since that I've came over, we have done upgrades throughout the years.
Oh, okay.
So that we're not stepping back from 2012. You know, we're still upgrading as we go, so that when we do get to these big projects, it's not so cost-worthy.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Have you gotten to the point, are you looking at doing a CM at risk, or you think the project too small for that, or are you doing just a standard, and I guess there's pros and cons to that. You know, if we've already hired an architect,
Right.
you know, they could always come back and say, well, the architect left out an entire, you know, cabinet of IT, and that's going to be $75,000 more, and it's not on us because that wasn't our job to review it, versus the CM at risk.
Right.
You may pay a little more up front, but they are taking on the liability before they start. So has there been any thought process of how that will be handled?
The process was really being able to, and again, we're really talking about, there'll be a contractor for IT and AV and that, but in terms of the building itself, we talked about having somebody to serve as your, I guess, project manager for the county. I don't know that I'm qualified to do that. I can put together the documentation, but I'm not that good with construction. But we talked about having somebody to oversee it, and you'll have your project manager from the company, you'd have your project manager here, and I think you could set it up where they have the call on whether or not this is right, because somebody's going to need to review all those invoices that come in and say, yes, they have done this, sign off on them before you guys can pay them. And so I think we can do that in terms of just however you guys want to do it. We haven't really gotten into that. I don't think it's, while it's a big project and it's an expensive project, it's not a real major project. Most everything is internal. You already have your plans, your specs on it. So it seems to be something that'd be fairly easy for a contractor to come in and say, okay, here's everything I've got, and move forward with it.
I have a couple of things there.
Yes.
And to Tommy's point, I think what I'm hearing is, and he's way more familiar with the building industry than I am, but there's a balance between bid clarity and bid pricing. And and you say, well, it's whatever you guys want to do. I think what we want to do, what I'm hearing is strike an economical balance in that you don't err so much on the side of detail in the bid clarity that you cause the reaction that Tommy had, so that they add 2 million to the price just because, and I've been the catalyst for some of that in my private life. I mean, because I'm very detailed like you are, so I want every specificity and broken down. But sometimes the industry says, oops, this guy's going to be whatever to deal with. So strike a balance there, whatever.
I agree. And I think, maybe I didn't explain it very well up front, because I think maybe he understood that, well, we're going to have 12, 14 different bids. This is going to be in one, this is going to be a bid with another. No, we're going to have one contractor. They will have the project, the 1 through 10, and they will have a price if we want to do these various alternates. We'll be doing one contractor. Add-ons, yeah.
And the other thing I just want to mention is, we spent a lot of money fixing what wasn't put together right at first, and so we've got, I think, a good building over there now.
Right.
And we don't want this construction to mess that up. And so it has to have some oversight on the county side, who knows what they're doing, so that we don't mess up and cause leaks and whatever else was there before. So.
Well, you guys, you mentioned detail. I do a lot of proposals where I don't have any real specs. I mean, I pretty much have to say this is what we want to do, so you do have to be very hands-on. With this, you're going to have a detailed architectural plan. Goes into everything, including colors. We've already talked about the colors. So all that stuff's going to be laid out in the architects. So the architectural drawings, you guys probably need to accept and approve. And when you do that, then the construction you have should be based directly upon that, unless there's something y'all want to do different.
Right down to the flashing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right down to the flashing.
Right down to the flashing.
Do you have anybody in mind for our project overseeing? Do you have anybody in mind to oversee this project?
I don't. I mean, I could see if there's some people that, or you guys have had some people you used in the past. I'd be happy to look at it from a paper standpoint, but if they ask, well, is that beam put up right? I don't know. It's up there right now, but I can't tell you it's going to be there forever. So
No.
that's why I feel like I'm not qualified to do that.
I think we have some options. We just need to make sure that this project is a go before we go and, people don't know what they're doing come January, February. So once we know we've got bids, once we know we've approved bids, then we'll reach out to some other people we've been using.
You have
who's
some realistic
available and
pricing at that point as well. But I will go back and talk to the architects, see if there's a better way to, do these alternates. But there again, I kind of think that I wanted you guys to be able to see, well, we got so much budget, we could do this, and we could do this one and still be in budget, or we could do that one, but we can't do all of them. So
There's some nice things.
that was the purpose of looking at it in this context. And it will be only, everybody will have to bid on all the items. You won't have, we won't award them to this guy, this person, and that person over there. It'll all be awarded to one.
So Theron, if we approve this on Tuesday night, are you planning to issue this, Wednesday or Thursday? What kind of timeline would be there?
The problem I have is in order to issue this, I have to have those plans and specifications from the architect.
Okay.
So as soon as they can get those in, then I would like to have attorney look at it, Jacob look at it from the IT and standpoint, and I'd really like to have the architect look over the documentation one time as well. And then from there, we'd be ready to go. Okay. If we could give ourselves, if we could get them out maybe by the second week, no later than the second week of October, I think we'd have plenty of time. But I want to make sure when that package goes out that it's not over detailed, but detailed enough to know exactly what they're doing.
Could you provide us a bid format before Tuesday?
Yes, sir. Before Tuesday, I can.
Vote on it?
Yeah. I could do that. I could, now, the dates and times and everything will not be in there
Don't
yet,
have to be that
but I'll show you the,
format of how you're gonna lay it out,
Right.
but you add alternates.
yes, absolutely, I could do that. And I'll give you what I have, already been given in terms of what those alternates will be, but they may have changed some. I'm waiting
Yeah.
again on that final plan.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay?
So we'll have the draft paperwork to look at.
It's just something.
Right,
you know,
absolutely.
It's not in stone, but I mean, kinda.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
you gonna lay it out,
Yeah.
lump sum, add alternate, 1, 2, 3, whatever.
Right,
Or
yeah.
deductive alternate.
Yeah, and another thing I'm waiting on architects on is a revised priority list, okay? I need to have that even before the plans, because that way I can tell you guys, this is alternate 1, this is alternate 2, and I can show you some plans that go with that. So I will get those to you, probably be Monday, but I'll get them both. Okay.
Now, would y'all like Theron to come back on Tuesday? Are you good with going forward with this without Theron coming back? Or you have time to call him on Monday?
Well, as long as
Yeah.
we've got the documentation, or as Commissioner Lee's asking, I mean, we can ask questions ahead of time, or I can.
And if you need me,
You
let
are
me know.
available? Okay, so we'll pencil
And I'll
you
talk
in.
to architects and contractors in the meantime to see if this is a scary concept to them. I don't think it will be, but we'll make sure that it isn't,
Okay.
okay?
Perfect.
Okay, all right?
So Monday, at some point, you'll get the paperwork, and Linda, if you'll send them a text too, to make sure they know it's in their email box. And then, if we could say maybe Tuesday by 10 a.m., which I know is a short turnaround time, but you let me know if you want Theron to come back, so I can make sure he has it. There's, and if you're okay with him not coming back, good too. So
And
10 a.m.
if there's just
Tuesday.
any questions, call me. I'll be happy to answer anything I can, okay?
I'll be in Virginia Beach, but I'll be in touch.
Okay, great. Thank you both so much for the work on this, and thank
Thank
you
y'all.
for Montrell, Clint, and Steve working diligently to continue this project on.
Yeah. Okay. Thank y'all. We appreciate it, okay? Thank you.
10.2, Alicia Searcy, she'll present this to us on Tuesday. All right, 10.3, we have Ben Skipper, Director of Community Development. If you'll step up and remind us about the comprehensive plan, the next step on it.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, we passed. The Georgia Department of Community Affairs has approved our comprehensive land use plan, and we're here tonight for the final vote, or not tonight, Tuesday night, rather. So it's what we've been talking about for the last year. So, and those in TV land that don't know what we're talking about, the last update was in 2018, prior to the 2020 census, and the major component to this halftime report, since we're in football season, we're 5 years into the plan, the state asked us to update our census data. Is there any questions?
That's changed the district lines, right?
Um,
The census.
Well, we did talk to them a little bit about expanding yours over into Danny Bailey and Ernie's a little bit.
I'm already there, and in Villarica too.
But I don't think, the comprehensive plan didn't have our districts. That's with the elections
No,
office.
and for those listening,
Making sure.
Tommy's only kidding. The comprehensive land use plan does not have anything to do with voting blocks or districts. What it is, it's where do we want to be in 5 years? Where do we want to be in 10 years? And where we want to be is, from this Board of Commissioners, what we've heard from staff and what is in this plan is minimum 4-acre lots growth and support businesses in our county. And so far, that's what we're doing at community development.
If you remember, we had the committee. Ernie, you served on the committee with several other citizens that we appointed. And so this is just we looked at it in August based on the citizens that had been on the committee, plus the public hearings we had. So now we had to send it off to the state so they could approve it. So now we're at the point where our formality is finally approving it. So that's what we're asking for Tuesday night, or for a consent agenda.
That's right.
271 pages worth.
I know, it's long.
You read them all, didn't you?
No, I'm a reader.
So any further
Thank you.
questions for Ben? Are y'all good with putting this on consent agenda for Tuesday night?
Yes.
You'll still be back Tuesday night because of planning and zoning.
I'll be
so
back
There's
Tuesday
another
night.
question.
Y'all have a good afternoon.
Thank you. All right, 10.4 is a solid waste equipment purchase.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. As I noted in the packet I sent over to your offices on September 20th, the old case excavator that has been used at the transfer station to pack trash trailers has broken down once again. Due to the importance of this piece of equipment, I met with Finance Director Searcy to determine if funds were available to purchase a replacement excavator. Once that was established, Solid Waste released an RFP in August. This item was not included in the budget for FY24 in the Solid Waste Department, since there was a great deal of turmoil within the board during the budget process. I had just completed a grueling medical treatment and did not feel that I had the strength to subject myself to a grueling inquisition at that time. The RFP returned 8 bids, ranging in price from $180,601 to $259,228. I met with Public Works Director Danny Yates to review the bids and specifications to evaluate the equipment that was presented. We examined the specifications, the warranties, delivery dates, and the prices. We were both unanimous in deciding to go with the SANY 225 model with a 5-year, 5,000-hour warranty and a less than 30-day delivery. This is very similar to an excavator recently purchased by Public Works. We came to this conclusion based on the following factors. Number 1, length of warranty. I understand that this is always a concern of several board members, and I agree that this is an important detail for a piece of equipment that is used 6 days a week to pack anywhere from 10 to 14 trailers a day. This was the longest, most robust warranty offered by any of the bidders. Delivery. As I mentioned earlier, the excavator currently at the transfer station has been broken down for months now, so it is urgent that we get a replacement as soon as possible. Service. There were several considerations here. If necessary, our service shop is already familiar with this brand of equipment, and we have the diagnostic computer to troubleshoot any codes once the warranty expires. In addition to this, the service manager resides in Brookville and has been able to provide excellent service to Public Works for any of the SANY equipment they have already purchased. And then finally, price. This was the lowest bid quoted. In addition, I am always very conscious of the need to support local businesses and support products that are American-made as much as possible. Unfortunately, in this era of technology, it is almost impossible to purchase anything with a computer chip that has not been manufactured offshore. At this time, I will entertain any questions or comments from the board.
Ms. Dost, thank you for taking my call earlier to discuss these bids. Just for clarification on the warranty, I do like that the model that you're recommending is not only the cheapest, but it does appear to have the best warranty. So you're labeling some of these, I guess they were breaking down what they offered. Some of them offer powertrain, some of them hydraulic, some of them a full warranty. So the 5 years, 5,000 hours is a full warranty on the equipment, correct?
Yes, it is indeed.
Okay, thank you.
I have said before, I'll say it again, that the equipment is needed, no problem there. I think the selection is good and the equipment is needed. I just want to take a minute to support, I guess, budget integrity, and my point is that this equipment was old and this equipment was breaking down and this equipment needed to be replaced months, at least weeks, before the new budget. But it was certainly within 3 weeks after the new budget year when I first heard about it. And it's a couple $100,000 round figures, so it represents about 4 or 5% of your department's budget. And if we would extrapolate that to say a 5% difference in the total budget of expenditures for the year that we didn't know were coming, then we'd be over around $3 million or so added to the budget. So I would have liked to have seen, for whatever reason, it didn't come, but I would have liked to have seen some heads up about just needing this equipment, that we could have considered it during the budget. Possibly you and the chairman knew. I don't know, but I don't think any of us knew. And I'm just saying that it flies in the face of good budget procedure, because you don't have, you're not aware when you approve the budget of about a 4.5–5% difference. So if we couldn't get specifics before then, if the equipment we knew was going to be necessary, and within a couple of weeks we were going to present that cost, then just give us a heads up, somebody, I mean, you or Alicia or whoever, or the chairman or whatever, that just says, hey, don't have any solid figures yet, but there's going to be about a $200,000 cost or whatever, so that we just maintain as a whole budget integrity and aren't surprised with things, because a budget is put together so that you have a pretty good feel for what is necessary for the upcoming 12 months. Had this equipment broken down and we didn't know about it, that would be a different story, but since we knew about it, I just would have liked a heads up just for budget integrity purposes. So that's my only comment.
Just to clarify, the excavator was running at the time the budget was passed. I did have an opportunity to speak to the chairman about it. We also approached Danny Yates to see if there was any SPLOST funds available in Public Works, because as you know, solid waste was a part of Public Works at the time that the last SPLOST was passed, and I was under the impression that there would be some equipment money left for solid waste to be able to procure what we needed to function as a transfer station. And unfortunately, Mr. Yates told us that there were no funds available for this, which is why I went to Finance Director Searcy before I came to you, before I even approached with the RFP, to make sure that there were funds available somewhere before I needed this piece of equipment as desperately as I do right now.
Are y'all good with putting this on a consent agenda for Tuesday night?
Yeah, I have a
I'm
question.
sorry.
I guess
Sorry, Steve.
this is coming out of SPLOST.
No.
No, it is not.
So where's the money?
General funds.
No.
It's coming from solid waste reserves.
Solid waste reserves.
Yes, we have a little bit of money left from last year.
All right.
And that's why I met with Finance Director Searcy before I proceeded with any RFP or even entertaining the need for an RFP, to make sure that there were funds available someplace to be able to pay for this.
Yeah, I like that. That's good news. Okay, is there anything, can we salvage anything off this old piece of equipment?
Well, right now, no. It would, I believe, Linda, you had pictures last time when I came before the board. I don't know, do you have access for those? You can have a look at what it is. I'm sure it will get towed to the Public Works yard, and I'm sure that if there is, but right now, as far as I know, the radiator is not running. The joystick has completely disintegrated inside of the machine. And I had spoken to Jeremy about the possibility of at least replacing the radiator to see if we could patch it to get, because we've been packing trailers with a loader, and if you know anything about that, that is not an efficient process. But at this point, Jeremy does not even want to start looking for a radiator. He doesn't even feel like we can find a radiator for it. That thing is a World War II piece of equipment.
Now, I'm not going to see this on Gov Deals in a month. Says runs great.
I
just a
really
couple of blemishes,
don't
right?
think so.
That's
And
what you see. Everything runs great when you sell it online.
yeah,
Not the one that burned up, right?
No.
Same one.
Linda, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's
Okay, Linda's
I was
about-
just wondering if we could even get scrap.
Linda's about to put, it might be good for some scrap metal, but, I mean, that's what it looks like. It's not even there anymore. We've had to tow it out of the way because otherwise I couldn't pack trailers behind it. But, I mean, it's in such rough shape, you can't even move it more than a few inches forward or backwards because the tracks have been welded in place just because of the age and the condition of this excavator.
So, I mean, it was in bad shape in June, just like it is in bad shape in August. Just
So,
saying.
For clarification on the SPLOST, when I met with all the department heads and we broke down the SPLOST, Charles did not put anything in for solid waste. At that time, he felt like everything was going well and we wouldn't need any equipment till the next SPLOST. So there is no money in SPLOST for solid waste. So we had to go look other places, and solid waste does have a reserve fund. Now we're about to deplete it, so it'll have to be built back up again for some other items.
That was gonna be one of my questions. Does she have any money left in reserves now, just a little bit?
Very little bit in reserve, so, but next time we do SPLOST, we thought, there's some departments that previous to this last SPLOST were not included, like, the animal shelter, solid waste. We're trying to do a better job of incurring all departments in SPLOST, where traditionally it used to be just public safety, public works. We had a little bit for the ag easements, not the ag easements, the agricultural, where we help support people to, I can't think of the title right this moment, but anyway.
Conservation.
Conservation, thank you. So we've done a better job breaking it down, but then we're still realizing there's still a few other departments that have not quite gotten the attention that we know they do need items. So this next SPLOST, we will do a much better job in breaking it down even further. But yeah, there was nothing Charles felt at the time that solid waste needed.
Okay.
Of course, and solid waste has become very large with the pandemic and everything else, so. All right, we'll move on
Thank
unless
you.
there's any further questions. Thank you, Jacqueline. All right, so 10.5, ACCG has asked for a resolution from every single county to the state of Georgia because mental health has become such a burden on all of us. Or not really a burden, but we want to have the resources to help our citizens and their family members. And with the state having done away with a lot of mental health stuff, we're asking the state to put it back in. So that's what that resolution is. It's been asked by our group to do this. And so if y'all are good with putting that on a consent agenda, it's not like a resolution we read like we do the proclamations. Y'all good with that? Steve? Okay, good, great. And then 10.6 that I'm going to be adding is for y'all to bring me your nominations for the Ag Advisory Committee, so Dee and Ben can get going on that new committee we did last month. So anything else? So on Tuesday, 10.1, 10.2, and 10.6 we will vote on, and then consent will be just 10.3 and 10.4 and 10.5.
Okay, now, I will be out of town next week, but there's some things on here that I'm, want to be involved in, so.
We'll have you phone in, is that?
Yes.
That works? Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right, thank you.
And I will get each of you a bio. I'll just send it to you on email for my appointee.
Great, thank you. If there's no further business, I'm going to adjourn our work session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.